I sowed 3 types of garlic, Glen Large, Italian Red and Italian Pink, all in the same bed in order to see how each variety would fare against each other. Unfortunately, I might have stuffed the whole experiment by simply doing one thing wrong. I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and regardless, I'm still keen to see how this garlic experiment went. So let's get into it. Glen Large, Italian Red and Italian Pink, they are supposed to do well in warmer areas like our subtropical climate here in southeast Queensland, where people like me who want to grow garlic typically have a hard time trying to get good bulbs forming because of the climate. So when I saw these 3 varieties recommended for places like this, I thought I've got to try them. And just quickly, for those of you who don't know much about garlic at all, I'm no expert, but basically there's 2 types of garlic. You've got a hard neck garlic and a soft neck garlic. A hard neck garlic is usually harder to grow. If you can think of hard neck and harder, it's particularly harder to grow in warmer climates. It can get a little complicated and there are crossovers, but we're talking in general terms. Soft neck garlic has a softer neck or softer stem, and it is generally easier to grow in warmer climates. The other thing about hardneck garlic is it grows a scape, which is an extra stem that pops up, which looks like it's going to go to seed on top. But instead of seed, it grows these little bulbs of garlic that can be replanted. The problem with that is if you let that mature, those little bulbs on top, it can suck away the energy from the bulb in the base, and you could get a smaller or not as good quality bulb at the end of the season. So why do people grow hardneck garlic then? Well, because of the taste. Hardneck garlic usually is a better tasting and stronger type of garlic and a bigger bulb. But beggars can't be choosers here, so that's why I'd rather get something out of my harvest, well, I hope so, than nothing. That's why most people growing in a warmer climate will pick a softneck garlic variety. And out of those softneck varieties, you want a variety that is more suitable to the warmer climate. And also it's got to taste pretty good too. And I will be doing a taste test of these 3 to taste and make sure it is garlicky. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we grow it, isn't it? To have organic garlic that we can use in the kitchen. I got the garlic from the Seed Garlic Shop. It's not sponsored, but it's grown by Wild's Lane Farm, located in the Grampians in Victoria, Australia. I hadn't seen this type of garlic online before, and I thought, you know, why not give them a try? You had to order it in advance, obviously, because it's grown seasonally. I almost forgot. In fact, I did forget. You won't probably be able to get garlic here in Australia for planting anyway, seed garlic, but you will still be able to get it in the US. It's not too late yet, so go ahead and get some. I've got my mate Kevin over at Epic Gardening. If you go to my store on his site, you'll see the garlic there. There's still some left, so go and get into it. So the experiment was pretty simple. I just divided this raised garden bed up into 3 different sections, both ends and the middle, using the sheets screwed in as a guide. Yes, the ends have slightly more area, but we're not going to necessarily just go on harvest amount. We're going to go on mainly bulb size and formation, because that's going to be a better guide than the amount of harvest overall in each area. To prepare the bed, I just added some organic fertilizer. I did use a bit of the old Vegemate that I'm still testing out. That's basically extra minerals and nutrients and micronutrients and trace elements. It's a soil supplement, in other words. I first of all laid them out, and then I just pushed them in. I suppose some of them were a bit close, but most of them were around 20 centimeters or 7 or 8 inches apart. So what I'll do is I'll bring you in closer and we'll just harvest one section at a time, starting from your left there. You're supposed to harvest garlic not when it's dead like this. You're supposed to harvest it when it's starting to die off and around about when the season should be ending. So they're the two signs. It's the end of the season, your garlic's starting to look a bit sick, the leaves are dying off. You know it's probably not going to develop much more. You can dig down a little bit and see how developed the bulbs are. The only reason I've got this green one is because it was planted late as an experiment. I just had some garlic shoot in the kitchen. It was from the store and I thought I'd plant it in. It didn't get very long to grow and that's why it's still green and growing. And I pulled it out just to have a look at it, but it's going to get way too hot now coming into our summer. And this would just die off and the bulb won't develop much more than that. But I pulled it up just to show as a demonstration that the leaves are starting to die off now. So it's ready to harvest. And then you can plait these leaves. You can then let them sit on a drying rack or hang them up and let them cure naturally. If you pull your garlic up late, what you risk is the skin around the bulb deteriorating, breaking up because it gets wet, it starts to decay in the soil because the plant's dead. Yes, you can eat it straight away and it's still going to taste great, but it won't last very long because the decaying process is already happening. If you pull the garlic up at the right time when you should, well then that skin is going to cure around that bulb and it's going to last for a lot longer in the pantry. Hopefully you've got some left to plant next season as well. Bloody horsefly. And I suppose you could say the third thing would be you start to lose track of where the bulbs are because these things have died off and now I've got to guess where some of these are because there's no tops left. Anyway, let's start digging it up. Oh, it's certainly, yeah, but it's not too bad for a first pull up. See how that's, well, that might be a double bunger actually, rather than just starting to break up. So I might have got away with it there. So yeah, that's probably two bulbs for some reason. They're not huge. I mean, Glen large, supposed to be like twice that size. See, that top had broken off, had no idea. The only reason I knew is because I planted it in rows. Starting to break up. Still a consistent size, which I'm happy with. For the most part, the garlic grew well over the 4 or so months that it was in the ground. We did go overseas right when the garlic was in its prime, as it was coming into spring here, which got really hot. We had some unusually hot days while we were away, and the water would not have been kept up, which is a bit of a shame. So that would have also retarded its growth a little bit. But regardless, it all suffered the same amount, so I'll still be able to test to see which variety, at least in this experiment, grew better. I'm just about coming to the end now of this first lot of growth. Moving on to the middle row. Wow, you'd think that was the Glen large. It's quite big. It's the biggest clove so far, which is interesting. Oh, some good sized ones here. You can see that redness or pinkness. See how the skin's breaking off? That's not wrapped in a skin now. That's just no good. I mean, yes, we'll eat all this and maybe I can preserve it in other ways, like in oil and that, but you won't be able to Probably keep it and grow it for next season. All right, I'll make a spot here, and that's where we'll put this haul, which I have to say I'm surprisingly happy with that. All right, this is the last section. This should be the pink. Yeah, it probably is a little lighter, so it's not as red as this one, although that's more of a pink to me, but you know. So there we have it. I'm pleasantly surprised. I really am. I actually thought it would be a lot worse than this, but my first impressions are that the Glen Large, in my mind, should have been the largest, at least by a little bit. It looks like it's the smallest out of the three varieties. Then you've got the red variety here in the middle, the Italian red, and it grew the biggest by far, and it had the smallest plot. So in theory it should have had the smallest pile, but it's not. It's the biggest. It's got the most consistent bulbs and the largest bulbs out of the three. And then moving along here to the pink, it has a few bigger bulbs, but then it's smaller than the red, but overall it's bigger than the Glen Large. So I've isolated some of the largest bulbs out of the three, and I'll show you that in comparison, and you'll see what I mean. This here is the Glen Large, 4 of the biggest bulbs. This is the red, 4 of its biggest bulbs. Check them out. I'd be really happy with that harvest all the time, that size. And this is the pink. Not too bad. The smallest out of the 4 biggest, you know, is probably the biggest, or bigger than the Glen Large. So if you choose the biggest bulb out of all 3, maybe, you got that one there, with that one there, and maybe this one, this one. You could see the 3 different sizes, and that's typical across the whole harvest. So here they are a bit closer together. I should note that I didn't plant the whole lot of these packets, only planted a portion of them. So yeah, don't think I planted this whole packet at all. No, we didn't need to. And then look at what we've got back. Much more than what we've purchased. So hopefully I can store at least some of these and plant next season. Fingers crossed. If you've got some storage tips for me, put them in the comment section below so we can all learn from them. And the other thing is, there's a person in Brisbane, I forget your name, mate, sorry, but I will reply to your email. You've emailed me a couple of times now giving me advice on growing garlic, and you've showed some really excellent pictures of your garlic success with continually regrowing your own garlic, selecting the bigger cloves and the better tasting cloves, etc. So well done. I appreciate you emailing in your tips. My gut feeling is that the Italian red adapted better and grew better under our conditions than these other 2 varieties did. Finally, let's have a little bit of a taste test of the 3 of them. The Glen Large was probably the smallest, the red and the pink. Okay, how do I look? The Glen Large first. Yeah, my fingers are a bit dirty. Don't worry about that. Won't hurt you. Oh, that's garlicky. Oh, I bet Nina can't wait to give me a nice kiss later. It is very garlicky and concentrated. Kind of even hard to eat, which is good, because especially if they're small, you want flavour. You don't have to use as much. But it's beautiful. Okay, let me cleanse my palate. Let's go. Let's go for the red. Oh, crikey. Hokey Jiminy Crickets. That is much more stronger by 3. That's like a hot chili. Oh, I hope it's good for me. It will certainly keep the vampires away. Hey, I'm hurting. That's amazing punch. You know, terrific flavour. I mean, you'd only need one of them on a whole garlic bread, I reckon. Let's let me settle down a little bit. I get the just wait till the sting goes, and we'll get into the last one, the pink. So definitely heaps more pungent than the Glen Large. I'm probably going to have indigestion after this. Okay, let's give this last one a go. I hope it's not going to be as pungent. This is the pink. Pink Ital. Sorry, I can't. It is just as strong. Very much similar. I can't eat another one. Oh, wow. So, if someone tells you you can't grow pungent garlic in the subtropics or a hot climate, don't believe them. One of these, well, if you want a milder garlic, go for the Glen Large. Beautiful. I'm definitely happy with the flavour. I'll just recommend you use it with other types of food, not on its own like that. What I'll do now is I'll put these on some drying racks and I'll just give them a little bit of time to dry out in the sun, maybe, you know, a day, and then we will pack them away in the pantry or somewhere nice and cool and dry. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a big garlicky thumbs up and share it around, and also subscribe if you haven't already. The other thing I want to talk about just at the end of this video, if you're going to stay with me, which I really love it if you are, is of course I've got a Patreon. If you want to follow me there and help me out, that'd be great. We've got our new website coming up, and we're going to have an online store where we can sell t-shirts, more custom stuff, not the fast food type t-shirts like you get from Spreadshirt or Teespring. I mean custom shirts like my Technicolored Yawn one, and that's a legacy one now, but we'll still sell them until they run out, and other things that I want to sell that are more custom and more to what would you say sustainable values. We're going to have caps and stuff, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming soon. Our new website will be opening definitely by the end of the year, probably by December. Well, thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now. Cheers. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm feeling a little bit crook. I'm going to have a nice big drink of sparkling water, I think. And it was on an empty stomach too. I haven't had brekkie yet.